This is my salt. I use a lot of it, as one does with salt. I put it in this smaller, more manageable container using this funnel. And this system has worked flawlessly for me for decades. However, in recent times, it has become abundantly clear that some in the house believe that this system is woefully inadequate for where we need to be as a family with regard to our salt game. So today, I'm going to make this far too extravagant salt storage system, and it starts right now. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And I guess what is my 5th video in the installation of my attempt to get to 10 before I hang it all up and never touch the camera again. This is a special video. This is a special one because this video is centered or focused on the one and only Mrs. Northwest Man. It is April 2021. If you didn't know this already, the Mrs. Northwest Man's birthday is in April. This time of year, it actually gives me some anxiety because the Mrs. Northwest Man is not easy to shop for. She is one of the most unmaterialistic people I know. That sounds like a good thing. That's a redeeming quality. Someone who doesn't put material items above other things in life, like experiences and people and relationships and all of that. Where that falls apart and where that becomes difficult is anytime you got to get her a gift. So we got takeout one night, and in the takeout, they actually provided a little tiny container of this nice finishing salt. And she was in love with this salt for some reason. I don't know, maybe there was some kind of deficiency, some kind of nutrient deficiency, and she liked it so much, she kept it around for about a week and used it on all sorts of things, telling me that she wished that we would have this kind of salt adventure in our own home, that we could live this life of salt fantasy and mystery. Apparently, we've been living a deficient salt life to this point. So we're gonna fix that. We're gonna fix that by building a salt cellar. Now a salt cellar, you might know, is kind of just like a container to put salt. You put a bunch of salt in there and you know, while you're cooking, you grab the salt with your fingers and you throw it on for, you know, flavor, or maybe you have a finishing salt that goes on the top that provides a little bit of some texture and things like that. We're gonna amp it up though. We're not just gonna have one container of salt. We're gonna have a box with 6 different containers of different kinds of salts with a little spoon, and we're gonna make a little drawer that goes in a little cabinet, and it's gonna be this little thing that we can put on the table when guests come, or while we're cooking we can, you know, take it out, use our salt, put it back in. It shouldn't take up too much space, and it'll be, you know, pretty functional, and it'll provide our lives more enrichment because of this amazing salt we're gonna have. In her mind, I believe. So the question is, what kind of box do you make for all this salt? You can make just a normal box with a drawer, and you could have little compartments where you would make little dividers and you put the salt in there. Or I had an idea that I could make something that I'd never made before, and I can incorporate the salt cellar into that. That item would be a bandsaw box. I don't know if you know about bandsaw boxes, but I think bandsaw boxes are sort of one of those first things that new woodworkers make. It's sort of like a cutting board or a cheese board, or maybe their first workbenches. There's a number of basic items that woodworkers make as they travel down the path to becoming a woodworker, I think. And I think a bandsaw box is probably on there. If you haven't seen them, Google it. I'll put some pictures up maybe so you can see some bandsaw boxes. But they're these cute little boxes that you make out of a solid piece of wood. The idea being that you can go in and you can sort of cut out part of the wood, and then that piece that you cut out actually becomes the drawer. You kind of glue the pieces all back together, and then they go in, you sand it down. So it looks like basically you have carved this drawer and box out of one piece of wood. Looks like something that maybe Bilbo Baggins would have at his little house. They call it a house. It's kind of like a little cave in Hobbiton. Not Hobbiton, the Shire. In the Shire, you've got these little caves that go into like the hills with these little round doors. It's all adorable. Hobbits are adorable. These little places in the Shire are adorable. And something that might fit in that whole design style, I think, would be a bandsaw box. Maybe they store their tobacco in it because they like to smoke their big, long, massive pipes and all that. I think the whole thing goes together. The little humanoid-looking hobbits, the rolling hills of the Shire with their little tiny animals and their little ways of talking. But our bandsaw box isn't going to be as cute and adorable and abstract and asymmetrical that like many of the ones that you see like online. Ours is going to be an attempt at a symmetrical box out of a pretty big piece of black walnut. Okay, This is gonna test the limits of my bandsaw. I've got a pretty big, amazing cast iron bandsaw. It's 16 inches, the wheels are 16 inches in diameter. It's old, it's big, it's powerful, and I'm gonna throw a 1/4-inch blade on that bad boy, and I'm just gonna hope and pray that the thing doesn't snap as I'm taking this like 8-inch piece of solid black walnut and trying to put curves into it. Again, this will be the first time I'm making a bandsaw box, and so in my mind, why not go big? And why not try to do it to a really expensive piece of black walnut? So that's what we're gonna do. I got this big, beautiful piece of black walnut I saw the other day. It inspired me to make something for my wife's birthday that I've never made before that I think you'll enjoy watching. I think bandsaw boxes, to the average person, look more impressive than they actually are. So when people see a bandsaw box, they think, wow, how did you do that? That looks like magic. That looks like some kind of magic happened to make that happen. And again, that's maybe why you might find a bandsaw box in the Shire, because there's magic in Middle Earth. But anyway, yeah, so we're gonna build this bandsaw box. I'm gonna use the giant piece that we're gonna cut out of the slab, I guess, the walnut slab. The piece that we're gonna cut out, I'm gonna drill massive holes into that thing, and that's gonna be where each of the little salt cellar sort of cavities fit. And then that's gonna be the drawer. It's gonna all fit together. I think I'm gonna make the spoon that goes in there. I think I'm gonna make the handle that goes on the outside. And it's gonna be a big piece of wood that you can get salt from. And that is going to be the gift to my wife. This is one of those moments you come across all the time where you get one shot at it and you probably have an expensive piece of wood or something you spent a lot of time on already. And you might blow it, and you might mess it up, and that might suck, and you gotta figure out how to fix it. I'm really nervous about this because I've got about 7.5 inches of this to go through with my bandsaw, and it's gonna be really difficult to turn that. I've even increased the radius a little bit on my corners just so I've got a little bit more room to kind of make that curve. But I'm really worried that as I round that corner, my car is gonna fly off the track and into the crowd over the wall and just look terrible. So we're gonna see how it goes, but I'm really worried. I'm gonna go really slow, and I guess we'll just see what happens. But this is, I guess, you know, it. Wish me luck. Holy crap, am I glad that's over. That was nerve-wracking, and there were a couple points in there where I really thought that it was gonna get away from me. It's possible that even may have gone better than my practice runs. I did about 3 of them in like just some Douglas fir. And the Douglas fir didn't go as well because it may have caught that soft wood and the sapwood, because you know Douglas fir can be soft in some places, and maybe the blade caught that and ran. And that's why I was having trouble maybe like getting it back. I think the hardwood and the walnut actually kept me on track because everything was maybe a little bit harder, and it sort of created a uniformity for the blade to cut through, rather than having the blade find some soft spots, some hard spots, and sort of take the path of least resistance. The hardwood actually helped me keep my line. At least that's what I think. Or maybe it was just the 4th time was the charm. I really thought the 3rd time was going to be the charm, but it wasn't at all. It was terrible, and it made me nervous about this. But it worked out okay. I'm about 96% of the way there as far as how I wanted to be on the line. There were a couple spots that were, you know, iffy, but I think I was able to sort of mimic that on each side. So there's at least some uniformity in where I deviated from the line, I think. So we're gonna sand it. That's gonna clean up some of it, and then we're gonna also round over the edges, on the edges of the box where the drawer face meets the box face, because I think that might hide a little bit of some of that user error. But pretty happy, pretty happy.